Chapter 7, Shambhala and a Giant's Dose of Drugs. All right, man, Elliot said after grouping up with his friends at our base camp at Shambhala. What should we start you with? I don't know, dude. How about MDMA? I said. All right, perfect first choice, he grinned, handing me over my first drug ever. I popped an entire capsule and waited. 2 hours crawled by, and I felt absolutely nothing, not even a tingle. A little confused, he offered me another hit, and I obliged as we wandered off to catch our first EDM set. Still nothing after 2 more hours of bass that could wake the dead. Give me another one, I said. Another one? Sure you're not already rolling? No time to waste, I said, desperately wanting to feel a universe that felt kind. I took another hit, and 2 more hours evaporated. Nothing. I might as well have been eating Skittles. What the hell's going on? Elliot muttered. That's when Elliot's friend Chris stepped in, a psychiatric nurse who radiated psychedelic wisdom. Don't worry, brother. These are top notch, pure sources. Probably the absolute best LSD in all of Canada, he said. This Lucy would take you straight to God. Down went a hit of LSD. More time passed in stubborn sobriety. So he gave me another tab. Not a damn thing. This is impossible, Chris said, staring at me like I was breaking the laws of chemistry. These are potent, my man. What else you got? Mushrooms. If my golden teachers don't work, you might be an alien. He handed me a couple grams. Hours drifted by in maddening normalcy. Then I found myself at the main stage watching Zed's Dead launch into my favorite track of theirs, Frontlines, wondering if I was immune to altered consciousness. Then someone passed the joint around. At least we'll do something, I thought, before taking one massive hit. Hold up, Chris said suddenly. Maybe we should. It was too late. Within minutes, every single drug in my system detonated at once like a cosmic bomb. Turns out some people need THC to activate drugs effectively. And I was one of those people. Oh, I whispered as reality began melting around me. It's all happening. Within minutes, the chemical symphony lying dormant in my bloodstream erupted in a cascade of neurological fireworks that made the 4th of July look like a birthday candle. The THC had become the master key, unlocking not just doors of perception, but entire mansions of consciousness I never knew existed in the infinite estate of the mind. What followed was nothing less than the complete delusion and reconstitution of everything I had mistaken for reality. Reality didn't just shift, it liquefied and reformed like molten glass in the hands of a cosmic artist. My sense of self scattered like startled birds, every piece of ego dissolving into the vast ocean of collective consciousness, while Frontlines became the funeral march for my former identity and the birth song of something infinite. Time literally started winding down, almost as if inwards on itself, like a dying star imploding. And every person suddenly was dancing in slow motion. I could focus my attention like a laser beam. Zooming in on one dancer 50 feet away, their voice became the only sound in existence, cutting through the bass and the crowd noise until it was just me and them connected by an invisible thread of consciousness. The rest of the festival silenced like someone had hit the mute button on reality. Then I'd shift my focus to another soul and another. Each time the celestial spotlight followed my attention, isolating their laughter or their whispered conversation or their wordless expressions of joy, turning 20,000 people into a library of individual human experiences I could access at will. Every person I looked at with my dilated eyes seemed like they were in on it as well. They would catch a glance at me, grin, and nod at me like, ah, there you are. Welcome, old friend, to the other side of the veil. Good to have you, love. My heart expanded more and more and then exploded into the music. I was one with all, and all is one with me. What seemed like 1,000 downloads a minute came crashing in from the LCS. How love, earth, humans, souls, air, water, animals, stars, thoughts, how everything works. Ken, you still with us? Is it kicking in? Chris said. I didn't answer, but instead started saying out loud all my new knowings as they revealed themselves to me. My heartbeat is synchronized with the universe. The revelation thundered through every fiber as luminescent cables of pure intention connected my heart to the collective cardiac rhythm of the crowd and the deeper pulse of tectonic plates dreaming beneath my feet. Reality started peeling back its layers like an infinite onion made of liquid diamonds, expanding like a flower blooming in fast forward. Divine downloads arrived packaged in wrapping paper made of aurora borealis, and truths of the inner workings of the universe cascaded through me like honey poured through crystalline fractals, showing me that all spiritual seeking was just God playing an elaborate game of hide and peek of peekaboo with its own reflection. We are all instruments in God's orchestra. That realization hit me as the bass dropped. Not just sound, but the very heartbeat of creation itself. Each stump felt like a supernova, reshaping the fabric of my being, rearranging reality into patterns that whispered the secret names of divinity. The music wasn't just heard, it came alive. Waves of color filled the space, dissolving the walls between me and everything else. I saw that separation was only an illusion, a temporary rest stop, like consciousness pulling into a convenience store for snacks before continuing its journey back to itself. Every eye I meet is my own, looking back at me. I gasped in recognition as the dancing masses became a hall of mirrors, reflecting infinite angles of the same eternal being. My legs suddenly surged with impossible energy. Rooted deep into the living system of the earth, I could feel my consciousness extending downward through layers of soil and stone, my phantom roots intertwining with the vast underground network of the surrounding forest until there was no distinction between my nervous system and theirs. I had become one of the trees. Then it spread, and I had become more trees, and then all of them, standing tall among my wooden brothers and sisters. The entire forest began to sway and dance around me, their massive trunks bending and flowing like kelp in an ocean current, as if they had always been moving to music we humans were too deaf to hear. Waves of beautiful light poured from their bark like bioluminescent blood, pulsing in perfect rhythm. We were all part of the same symphony. The crowd, the forest, the mountain beneath our feet, all of us swaying to the ancient rhythm that connects mushroom networks to human neural pathways. That makes galaxies spin and hearts beat, and bass drops hit like revelations from the center of everything. Holy sweet baby Jesus. I was so high. Guys, gather around. Ken is having a breakthrough, Chris announced, which in festival speak basically means, oh boy, our friend is about to become one with the universe. All of our friends materialized from the crowd like some kind of hippie Avengers assembly. They formed a circle around me and started doing a heart-based prayer, which sounds like new age baloney until you're actually experiencing it and realize it's the most real thing that's ever happened to you. They're sending love and gratitude to each other for existing, for being friends, for showing up to this ridiculous human experience we're all stumbling through together. I hugged them all, and it felt less like greeting others and more like gathering scattered pieces of myself into my arms. We were all the same consciousness, wearing different costumes to this cosmic masquerade party. A divine energy flowed between my heart and each of theirs, creating this feedback loop of pure connection as I consumed and gave the most delicious emotional nectar I'd ever tasted. I felt ridiculously proud of each and every one of them for embarking on this absolutely insane thing we call human existence, for signing up to be thrown into these meat suits on a spinning rock and somehow managing to find beauty and meaning in the chaos. This was a spiritual check-in disguised as a group hug. These weren't just my friends. They were my unofficial guides, my intergalactic crew who had agreed to meet here in this lifetime to help navigate the beautiful insanity of being alive. This was just day one of what became the most pharmaceutically diverse 4-day weekend of my life. I went from never having done drugs outside of weed and medical ketamine to testing out cocaine for energy, MDA for emotional connection, special K to dissolve, DMT for meeting machine elves, GHB for reasons I can't remember, and some mysterious substance from a literal box of drugs offered by a very kind festival man dressed as Saint Nick, who said, "Pick one, they're all good," with the confidence of a celestial sommelier. And I did pick one. I still have no idea what that drug was, but it sent literal ripples across the ground with every single step I took. Did it fix my brain? Actually, for a few weeks, it did. I felt lighter, happier, and I could laugh again. Real laughter, the real laughter that bubbles up from somewhere genuine instead of the forced social version I've been performing for months. But it didn't last. Startup life was back after the festival was over. The familiar weight returned, along with the deadlines and the funding pressure and the general exhaustion of, just life. But it did serve its most crucial purpose, which was a spiritual check-in. Chris calls it breaking the fourth wall of our reality. For those few days at Shambhala, I'd been allowed to see behind the curtain. This whole human experience was just one layer of something much larger, much weirder, much more beautiful. It felt like the LCS had been texting me secret memes for months, and I'd finally hit reply all, accidentally in all caps, which is exactly how you don't want to make your debut in the universe's group chat. Looking back, this dramatic debut into higher consciousness makes perfect sense. As several masters would eventually point out, I possess what one master termed an all-in soul, though another said it was more like a spiritual kamikaze pilot. No consciousness on training wheels, no enlightenment with safety nets, just a full contact spiritual MMA match with reality. My soul, apparently, is the guy who shows up at the cosmic library and immediately starts shouting about the books. And it was about to scream much, much louder.